Do you ever have it that you are in a tough moment in your relationship? You know the basics of astrology, you want to use it, but you don't know exactly in which points investigate to get the answers. I finished the Jaimi and Parashara course, so we went through many rules, but in this video I will show you 3 effective ones which will make the solution easier. We will also illustrate it with 3 examples of famous people who broke up in 2025, so you will see how wonderfully they work. So let's roll the intro and start with the first one. First, we start with 6 reasons why people break up. You may assign the karaka, the planet, to each reason. Let's see what you will get there. First one is about the emotional dedication. If we feel that we have to drag the relationship alone, then this is not fair, and this is the major breakup according to this scientific study. The second one is about the conflict, but not just conflicts which are positive, which leads to some compromise and broader understanding, but those who are very destructive and they are not correcting the major problem. The third one was the topic of my lease conference, is about the infidelity, so we have some guess which planet may be related to that. Fourth is very interesting. It means that we drifted apart. We are going in different direction. The fifth one is about the money. So the financial stress, financial problem are the fifth reason why people are breaking up. And the fifth is about the addiction and violence. So this is also very important indications. And as you can suspect, this can usually end in a much darker, much tamasic situation. All right, so let me know in the comments how you have assigned the planet. The first one for me, the lack of commitment, is just lack of the Venus, right? Just like in the third one about the affair, we have the Venus, too much Venus, or Venus invested somewhere else. The second one was about the violence and about those conflicts which are not bringing the compromise. This is the Mars. The Mars has the power which can eclipse the Jupiter. And also the fourth one, drifting away. This is the weak Jupiter, because the Jupiter means the ether, and the ether is connecting two people together. The Jupiter therefore is also related to the worldviews, how we see the world, and the values, the ethics. If this is common, if this is maybe not common, but somehow unified and respected, then the couple is going together in the respectful manner. Fifth is about the money. No guesswork here. This is about the Mercury. Mercury often also gives problems when it comes to the in-laws or the extended family, things like that. And sixth is about we could restrict the addictions and the violence to the moon thing, right? To the moon part, because it is usually coming from some mental challenges, for some trauma and things like that. When it comes to violence, of course, this will also take that martial part or Ketu part, which is even more extreme, and this is also related to the debilitated moon, which is showing the cruelty, and also the weak moon will impact the mental health. So we did that to understand how the planets are working, which are sustaining, which are going against. This will be useful for the later part. Now we are going to the first one, which is we have to have a problem in relationship. Now, someone would say 7th house is enough, but this is not true. This is because the 7th house, besides the Venusian part, also has the Mercurial one, which is about the agreement, deals, and the business. So we need 2 points which need to be afflicted to indicate relationship challenge. This is just like in the coordinates. We have the longitude and latitude. If we think about the cities in the same longitude, there will be many. So then there is only a guess. We have to have luck to take the proper one. But if we have 2 dimensions like longitude and latitude, then we can easily point the city. Similarly here, if we are having the 7th lord and also the karaka of relationship, the Venus, both have to be afflicted to indicate the problem in that area of life. And why we do need to check that in Rasi, which is the main chart, also in the Navamsha chart, which is the fortune or relationship chart, this is because there must be not only reaction which is showing some problem in our relationship, but it also, we have to zoom out the camera and see the whole picture. Is the reaction, psychological impact on that person caused by the world of relationship? This is the Varga, this is the Navamsha, how the external dynamics are going on in the relationship, and then they are impacting the person, the native, which is in the main chart Rashi. Now, if we look at the chart of Jessica Alba, which had breakup in 2025, we can see, okay, 7th Lord is Rahu in 12. This makes sense. But why Saturn in the 2nd is afflicted? This is the other 7th Lord. It is not afflicted by any malefic planet. So why it is bringing the relationship problems? This is a very important question. And if you don't know this rule in relationship to Venus, then you will miss the very important type of affliction, which is based on the distance to karaka. If the Lord distance to the karaka is 2nd, 12, or 6, or 8, then we say that this is also afflicted. So because 7th Lord Saturn to Venus, we have the 6-8 relationship. Therefore, we say that, in fact, both lords are indicating relationship challenge. Now, if you go to the chart of Orlando Bloom, then 7th Lord is Moon, also not afflicted, and now it has a good relationship to Venus, which is 5th houses. So now you will say, so how it is possible that he also got separated in 2025? What's going on? What are we missing here? Again, we have another important principle, without which you also can miss the important type of affliction. This is the Bhava dosha or Bhava problem. If the house is afflicted by more than one malefic, we also say the relationship or the area of life represented by that house is hit, is afflicted, is damaged, and needs some correction or remedy. In this case, we see Saturn is in 7th, aspected by Mars, because Mars aspects 8th house from its placement. Being in the 12th house will afflict the 7th house. The situation is the same for Katy Perry, because 7th Lord Mars is in the 3rd house, only afflicted by Saturn. It's only one. We could say, yes, it is joining Jupiter, Marana, Karakastana, but when it comes to the strict definition of affliction, it's only one, right? But we have Sun and Saturn aspecting 7th house. Therefore, again, it is afflicting the house, which is also qualified as the area problem. In all those examples, you will also notice that 7th Lord and the Venus were afflicted in the Navamsha. There are different types of Navamsha affliction. For example, just by being in Aquarius or Scorpio, we also define this as a dosha or a Navamsha affliction. So in all these 4 examples, we will include also Nicole Kidman, who also was separated in 2025. All of them has the 7th house / 7th Lord and Venus problem in Rashi and in the Navamsha. Now, for the Nicole Kidman, it's quite tricky with the Venus, because if you will see in the Rashi chart, nicely in the 10th house, with Jupiter exalted, Ascendant Lord in the 10th, which shows that someone who is master of the area, and this is a Siddha Yoga, someone who will be excellent in at least one area of life. We have it here. But what is the problem? It's not afflicted. It's not in the Trikona Yoga, no Kartari. So what's going on about Venus? Why there is relationship problems? Because for that, Venus must be afflicted. It is losing by the moon in something which is called planetary war on the level of Charakaraka. So if you have 2 planets having the same degree, we say that they are taking part in the war. And if they are in different houses, this is the type of war which is called Charakaraka war, because it is represented on that level. So here, there is only one planet which is losing, and this is exactly that Venus. And therefore, this Venus was not spared and is bringing some form of relationship challenge. By the way, if you'd like me to assist you in understanding what's going in your chart about this doshas, these problems of relationship, and also about timing and remedies, then you can find the link in the description. Now everything is going through Calendly, so the payment options, choosing the day, and also the form to fill with your birth date, birthplace, and birth time, all is done in one place. So you can find the link in the description, and we can schedule the Zoom consultation 60 or 90 minutes. Having found that there is some problem in the chart, it must not end as some affair, separation, or divorce. We need to find now the house which will specify the problem, because in today's video we are talking about astrology of separations. If we know that Saturn, Venus, Dasha was present in Jessica Alba in this year when she separated, it can be quite hard to get it from main chart, from the Rasi chart. So to be honest, those astrologers who are founding the prediction only based on the Rasi chart, they will have a hard time to predict anything. Because if we will open this Navamsha of Jessica Alba, we know that it was Saturn and Rahu, 7th Lord and Venus. All of them are on the axis of 6 and 12. So although she has been blessed very, very much in matters of finances and career life and excellence, skills, things like that, we can see that there is something to improve when it comes to relationship, because the 6 and 12, the 7th lords and this Venus are on that axis. And exactly it was in the Saturn-Venus Dasha. Venus is in the 6th house aspected by Saturn. So as you can guess, 6th house in Navamsha will be the main point now to restrict the relationship challenge to separation or divorce. Let's see the Navamsha of Orlando Bloom. I didn't make any correction. I'm just using the normal Moonbeam Shotri because he has moon intent. Saturn and Rahu, that was the period when he was separated. Saturn and Rahu are lording which house in Navamsha? 6th. Again, we have 6th house. And in Nicole Kidman chart, we are opening the Navamsha. When was the time when she separated? It was in Saturn. Is Saturn having any aspect on the 6th house? It is aspecting exactly the 6th lord from the 12th house. So in all 3 cases, the 6th house was activated at the time of separation. Now, even in the Navamsha, 6th house may have other indication. So we will also try to restrict it even farther with the 3rd point. But before that, we have 2 important points about the dashas and 1 about karakas. If you are going through the chart, you may see the dasha and it may not be related to the 6th house, but you see, oh my God, I'm now going through divorce, I'm now going through separation, partner leaves me, or I'm leaving the partner, but the 6th house in Navamsha is not activated. What is going on? And you may be seeing the aspect, dispositor, and still it doesn't lead you to the 6th house. So if the problem is not seen in the chart, then also when it will end, or the solution or the remedy, all this becomes dysfunctional. So we have 2 solutions to this. So just like you have many tracks, and based on the type of the wagon you are, these tracks will be used for your life. So your life may be on the steel wagon, but you are seeing those who are, let's say, wooden, right? So they are going somewhere, but it's not your wagon. So therefore, it's important to know which wagon you are, and therefore which tracks are for you. We are talking here about the time tracks, how your life is going. So therefore, you will see that if you read Brihad Parashara Horashastra or any astrological book related to Vedic astrology, there are many dashas, and they are also tailored to your specific chart. This is quite interesting that based on your chart, you are using specific dasha. So the basic rules are, if your moon is in the 6th or 2nd, you are using the Kshema dasha. If your moon is in the 3rd or 11th, you are using the Utpana dasha. And if your moon is in the 8th or 12th, you are using the Adana dasha. You can choose that options in any Vedic astrology software, and you will see that those new period will much better reflect what's going on in your life. And with those plans, then you can see how the 6th house is activated, and this will reflect that in a better way. So then you can see, oh, now it's showing the problem, and therefore you may use this dasha, those tracks for your special wagon to see when it will end, when the new relationship come, when it is end of healing after the separation, things like that. But there is other problem. Probably you have heard that each relationship is shown by other point in the chart, and the problem is that how they are marked is also not so simple. Some relationship will be marked as upapada in the chart, some are not. So this already brought a lot of hassle in the past for astrologers. But luckily, the 6th house Navamsha, which I taught you, especially when the Rasi Dashas, they can be used for every relationship, because it is just showing when you are getting the karma of separation. So with these rules, you are overcoming this problem of many relationship and problem with identifying on which exact relationship you are now. So for the astrology of separation, you need to know these 3 rules and also these 2 things about the dasha. Now something about the karaka. What karaka is related to separation? This is also something important, because then we can also restrict the 6th house in the Navamsha. So this is related also to deterioration or separation. We know that in the late age in Ayurveda, the dominant dosha is a Vayu dosha or Vata. And also the Prithvi, which is the earth, which is showing our body, which is shown by Mercury having directional strength in the ascendant. This is also, we could say, destroyed by the wind of time. So the separation, the deterioration, and the end, decay, right, decay is shown by Saturn. So we have found 7 Lord and Venus has to be afflicted in Rasi Navamsha. Then we went to exact point 6 in the Navamsha. Now we can confirm that with the Saturn. Now let's see if in those examples Saturn was really present. Now our tradition is all about examples, so let's revive those and see how this rule is really working. If we open the Navamsha of Jessica Alba, we can see Saturn is aspecting the 6th house, and the Dasha was Saturn, Venus. In the Bloom's Orlando chart, Saturn and Venus are lording 6th house. So the connection is already there by the definition of Aquarius. For the Kate Perry, the Rasi Dashas were related to the Saturn. Interestingly, Saturn is joining the 6th Lord, which is talking the tale of separation in that period. And of course, we have Saturn itself, right? So we have not only 6th house, but again, we have confirmation of Saturn. And for Nicole Kidman, 6th Lord was Mercury, which could show other problems of the 6th house. Like, for example, here it could show some health issues for the partner, but Saturn is having the aspect on that Mercury. So especially in that time, the 6th house is opening in this specific way of two people drifting apart. So now when we know it, we can also add some qualificators which will give us more understanding of what's going on. For example, did you notice that very often at the time of relationship, 1st house getting activated in the Rasi chart? Why it is happening and what does this mean? So we can see that the 1st house is a maraka. Maraka means ending because it's 2nd from the 12th. So it's ending the 12th house. 12 is very much related to marriage, especially that part of marriage which is related to giving. So 1st house is about, okay, I have enough of sacrifice of giving. I need to take care of myself. It could provide that healthy or unhealthy part of egoism. Right? So when the 1st house is activated, then it may show this, or if that separation or breakup or divorce is coming, then if it's coincide with that 1st house dasha or time, it may be good if it's, especially if it's positive, because it shows type of reformatting. You are taking care of yourself. You are doing all those revival of your goals, of your ethics, of your whole personality. Is nothing can rebuild the person like separation or breakup. Therefore, these can be a catalyst for change. And we know that especially when the 1st house is activated. Now, very important question comes up when we talk about the separation or nature of separation itself, because two people may be separated, but they are still very much strongly emotionally connected. For example, in a situation when they are living in different countries, right? And how we can understand the difference. Now, by theory, it should be distinguished by the presence of karaka, because the lordship may show the physical things, how it's going on. And two people are in different places, so they are not in one place, like 7 or in 12. Very often is giving a situation when the partner is not there, it's unavailable because it's traveling or things like that, or living in different countries. If you have 7 or in 12, you may even have a pattern of such relationship, that many of your partners will be foreigners or coming from different countries. Of course, there must be also karaka, which is confirming that. In this video, we are talking about different type of separation, which is also including the emotional one, right? So by logic, this is coming by the karaka, because karaka is showing our emotional fulfillment. We could talk also about other types of karaka, like a chara karaka or anitya karaka. When now that is broken, then we can say that the relationship is over. Because you are not only separated physically, but also there is a separation on your emotional, on your dedication and emotional bond. Therefore, it's very important now to see Venus. Now, the problem with the karaka is that it may show problem with the start. If you have problems with the Venus or with the karaka, then you may not be even in the relationship. It's not starting because the karaka is bringing you the blessing. So now the question comes, how to see that difference? Answer to this is a special pair, because 9th and 12th from a Venus is showing the what is before marriage, before relationship. 2nd and 5th is what's after. So the problems after the relationship, after the marriage, will be in the second and the fifth from Venus. Okay, now the two last things. One is about accepting the separation. Second is about the fate or determinism of relationship and how it has to do with compatibility. So the first one about the acceptance. If you know these points and you are already going through that breakup, then you may, for example, open the yearly chart or even in the natal chart, you can now study how long the sixth house period will be there. Because for many people, it will have a different. For some, it could be days, for some, it could be months, for some, it could be years. Of course, it will also depend how much you were attached, how the breakup was, and all other factors. What was your situation, how you were financially, where you were in your life generally. So there are the family support, friend support. So there are many factors which will finally impact how you will go through it. But you can also see when generally the sixth house period will end, and you may help yourself with a yearly chart. Titi Pravesh, in our tradition, we are using that. So you may see when the sixth house will end, when the other planets will be there. Because this is our psychological makeup. If we know how long the suffering will be there, it is big relief. We can also see, for example, yogas which will end it, what will be helpful. For example, if it's Mercury, Jupiter in 4 and 5, could be about education, about going into any sports or abilities, increasing the abilities, something like that. So 11th house may show support of friends. So there are different then benefits which will be related to that sixth house in those yearly or natal chart, and we can help ourselves with that if we are already going through a breakup. So it's all about having that broader perspective, and astrology is providing that, because many times the breakup is good for you. Two people couldn't live together, so it is giving the space for another partner to come, another situation, or just being single, which is also fine if you are fine with that. So with the astrology, you can overcome that tunnel vision, which is especially then when you are having or going through some suffering or not super enjoyable experience in life. And now the last thing, just like in the compatibility, we have that psychological level, the timing level, and the deterministic level or the karmic level, right? Because you, for example, may be super psychologically together. Like you may have Venus in fourth and your partner has a Venus in the first, fifth, and ninth. It shows that this partner is having what I want, what I need, what I'm looking for. This is for a man. For a woman, we have a 10th house. But still, the person which you want to marry may have other TT, other moon, other name, other ascendant is not fitting, which means that you are not destined to marry that person, even if you have very nice psychological bond or even love is already there. It still must be two things, right? One is psychological, deterministic, and also the time. The time, therefore, in one part of compatibility is also the checking of the dashas, how two dashas are going together. Now, if we think about it, then the breakup must also be a part of that determinism, right? Because if coming together was also brought by the dasha, then we can also see that, oh, now it's coming time of the sixth house. So we know that we have to do something in the past life, right? That the breakup is coming. Also, how many years, the type of breakup, all that is there in our karma. All that, therefore, is in the chart. And therefore, when the dasha is coming, then it's the time to experience that. Therefore, we can see that it will influence, of course, all that psychological consequences. The whole thing will be explainable by all the psychological mechanism and things like that, also by circumstances. But we may see that there is some karmic, the root cause for all that, what is happening. So then by knowing that, instead of narrowing your vision to that breakup, you may see it as some karmic experience and then also attack it with the mantra or some metaphysical remedies. So breakup is a painful experience, but from the broader perspective, it may be good for us. So we went through identifying the relationship challenges. Then we found the house, which is giving the problem. Then we have confirmed it with the Saturn. Then we get some advice with the Dasha and the Karaka, why the Saturn is Karaka. And then we went through, if we are already going through it, how we can help ourselves with the yearly chart or with the dasha. And then we have a little bit philosophize about the getting the zoom out to understand it as some kind of karmical experience. To complete that, we have few other tools which you can learn in this video about the astrology of relationships.